how's it going everyone? Welcome back to Keeping Fish Simple. So in today's video, we're going to be doing the second part of my How to Breed Neon Tetras series. Now, in the last episode, we got the eggs off of our adults, and in today's video, we're going to be raising the eggs up into little fry. So I'm going to give you guys a really quick disclaimer. This video is definitely not going to have as much action as the last video did, because basically raising the eggs up is a fairly easy process. The really hard process is going to be the stage after this, which is going to be the next video, and we're going to be raising the fry up into decently sized adults, and that's going to be a bit more of a challenge. But in today's video, I'm going to pretty much tell you guys everything you need to know about the eggs hatching. So them hatching and then going up into their little wiggler stage and then onto free swimming. So we're going to be feeding us some of the infusoria kit that we made in the last episode. If you guys haven't already seen the last episode, there's going to be a link up here. I'd highly recommend watching that video before you watch this one. It's going to make everything a lot easier for you. But without any further ado, let's go have a look at the little hatchlings.
Okay, so here is our little box. So as you can see, there is not much action going on here whatsoever. These guys are so small that it's going to be nearly impossible for you guys to see any of the eggs after they've hatched. Unless you guys saw them when they were spawning, the chances are you will not have seen any eggs at all, and it's really hard because of the peat. So they kind of sink down into the peat, and you're really not going to have a clue whether they bred until you start to see some little fry swimming around. So these guys do not take long at all to hatch. In fact, they hatch after about 24 hours after being laid. So what I mean by hatching is they're not going to be an egg, they're going to turn into a little wriggler. So a wriggler is a fish that is newly hatched but not yet free swimming, and basically what you're going to have is lots of little tiny wrigglers on like the sides of things in your aquarium and on the bottom and all that kind of stuff. And one thing I'm going to mention to you guys is with this stage, it's very important to keep the light off. So normally I keep the light like this, and this is all the light that they're going to get. They're going to get some ambient light coming from the tanks next to them, and really that's it. They don't get much light at all, but just for the sake of this video, we're going to keep the light on. So there's really not much to see. My camera has a really hard time of picking up anything from these guys, so it's very hard to give you guys a really good visual. So just hang with me here, because basically I'm going to try and walk you through everything you need to know. So like I said, the first thing that's going to happen, you're not going to notice any eggs. You're going to take your adults out, and basically the aquarium's going to sit dormant. So after 24 hours, you might be able to start to see some little wrigglers. So you're going to look around the aquarium. You might use like your flashlight or something like that. I definitely wouldn't recommend keeping the light on for long periods of time, because these guys are very sensitive, because they are a little blackwater fish and they are so tiny. It's like actually crazy. So basically what you're going to start to notice is lots of little tiny white spots on the bottom. So there's going to be fungal eggs. So there's going to be eggs that didn't get fertilized, which is quite unfortunate. Basically those eggs aren't going to hatch. So you'll know if your neon tetra spawned if you start to see these little eggs. So I can actually show you right here. That little tiny dot in the middle of the screen is a fungal egg. So that little fungal egg has been left there for about a week, and basically he's not going to hatch. But the good thing about seeing them is that we know that our adults have spawned. So these guys won't become free swimming for another 5 days after this, and then you'll start to notice the fry will become a little bit more adventurous, and you'll start to see them up in the top corners and stuff like that. They'll go like onto the heater, especially. They love the heater because it's nice and warm, and they'll start sticking there, and you'll see they'll kind of move around throughout the day, but they don't do much action. You're going to want to start to use your infusoria kit the second these guys have started to free swim. So as you guys can see, I'm just panning across the bottom here, and there's literally nothing except for that little tiny fungal egg that you can see there. So that's how I knew these guys had spawned. I was quite doubtful if they had spawned or not. I had like absolutely no clue, and I was kind of worried because I'd already released the other YouTube video. But you can see here, there's absolutely no action happening on the bottom, and that's what your aquarium's going to be like. So it's going to be kind of like a guessing game. You're not going to really know whether these guys are bred or not. You kind of just got to have hope. Just give them some time. I'd wait about a week before you'll start to see any little free swimmers. Now, when I bought these guys, I thought that I'd be able to record the eggs, so I was counting on this video to have a lot more action. But when these guys laid their eggs, I didn't see a single egg. I'm telling you guys, these fry are so tiny. So basically, we're at the stage now where, like as you saw before, these guys are just starting to become free swimming. So today we're going to do the first ever feed of infusoria on these guys. So there's a few in here. I've counted about 10. I'm sure there's more than that. I'm guessing there's probably about 25 to 30 of these guys. Now obviously I would have liked to get a couple more, like I said in the last episode, but I think we're gonna have to do these guys in batches. So we'll get this batch out, we'll get them fed, and get them onto brine shrimp, and then we can start doing another batch in here after that and kind of like clump our batches together in big grow out tanks. So I'm going to try and show you guys the fry that I've started to see becoming free swimming. They're all kind of like sticking to the glass and they're not really doing much, but the free swimmer is going to be really, really cute. Okay, so I've just spotted this little guy in the corner, and as you can see, so tiny. These are the smallest fry I've ever worked with, and I guess it kind of makes sense that they are this small because you can see how small the adults are fully grown. So they are very, very tiny, and it just goes to show you guys how important that infusoria kit's going to be, because without this infusoria kit, there's literally nothing that we could have fed these guys. So there he goes, just starting to become free swimming. I kind of want to turn these lights off as quick as I can, but you can see his little eyeballs just move there. They are so, so tiny. So my biggest pieces, oh, there's another guy. Wow, they're already starting the school. Okay, so basically my biggest pieces of advice for you guys: keep the lights off. You want the lights off as much as possible. You don't want any light with these guys, and you're gonna need that infusoria kit to raise these guys up. So hatching the eggs really takes no effort at all. You just gotta literally leave the same conditions that they were laid in, because the parents wouldn't have laid them if they didn't think they were gonna survive. So leave the eggs, but at that 7-day mark, you're gonna wanna start using the infusoria kit. So let's go do that right now. Okay, so it's currently night, so you're not gonna get a really, really good look at the infusoria kit, but as you can see, it's kind of like, if I take a peer down at it, so everything's kind of fallen to the bottom and just kind of become a bit rotten, and that's the whole idea. So we formed all the bacteria, and now there's a very, very small culture. We haven't got a great infusoria kit, but there's a small culture of these little tiny infusorias. So basically, if I start to shake this up, it's very, very hard to see without sunlight, but you can see that cloud of stuff falling, and those are little itty bitty tiny little creatures that we can feed to our little guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little pipette, like you can see here, and we're basically just going to squeeze some of this up and we're going to feed it to our guys. So we're going to want to do this at least 5 times a day, because you can see how small these guys are, and they're going to put on size really quick, because it's very, very important that like in the wild they get as big as possible very, very quick. So we're going to take a little sample of that, and we're going to do that like 5 times a day. It's so important. I definitely recommend setting up your infusoria kit and give it at least 2 weeks to mature. This is a very immature infusoria kit. I would have loved for it to have a little bit more bacteria and stuff like that, but we're going to have to make do because we don't have many fry, so we're going to be kind of like okay here, but if I had a lot of fry, I'd be kind of in trouble. So, and don't worry about taking up any of that plant matter, because it really doesn't matter. And then we're just going to have a little pipette with this stuff in it. Basically, all you're going to want to do is get your little pipette and sort of drop across the whole entire top. And here is a little guy coming up to the top to come get like a little feed. Now, you're really going to have a hard time knowing if this is working. The only piece of advice I can give you guys is for their first feed them a couple times, obviously, like I said, but you're going to want to make sure that their bellies are getting full, and that's going to mean they're eating properly. Now, I'm not going to talk about feeding too much more, because that's going to be pretty much saved for the other video. So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about how to raise these guys up. So my key points for getting these guys to hatch is to leave them in the exact same environment that they were laid in, and not to adjust the pH, don't change water, don't touch the heating or anything like that. Just leave them. You need to have a lot of patience with these guys. You're not going to see a lot of action very quickly. It's going to take quite a bit of time, and you'll be surprised how long it actually takes for these guys to start to come up. Keep them in the dark. You don't want to get any light on these guys. You want to keep it as dark as possible, and if you do all of those steps, you will have the best hatch rate possible. So like I said, these guys are a super satisfying fish to breed. They've been one of my favorite fish to breed in the entire aquarium hobby. I've had so much fun breeding them, and I'm hoping that I can get quite a few of these guys to raise up and grow up pretty well. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.